The IPCC report is the most accurate assessment we have of the latest climate science. So what does it tell us? Well, first up, we've got their modelling on the impact of human activity over the past 2,000 years, and surface temperature remained fairly consistent until this shaded area here. So let's zoom in and you can see how that curve rapidly accelerated after 1970. Take human activity out of it, leaving natural events such as volcanic activity, and temperature change is fairly limited, but add that human activity back on and that's where the warming happens, an increase of 1.1 degrees Celsius since 1850. So what's happening? Well, the main culprit is more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and as that increases, so has warming. And the report says that even if we limit emissions to very low levels, we will still see temperature rise because of what has already been admitted before. And we'll reach 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming within the next 20 years. But crucially, in this scenario, temperature will stay around there or thereabouts. And as this IPCC map shows, every half a degree makes a difference. With warming of 2 degrees plus or more, you can see that the rate of actual temperature accelerates. So more Arctic melt, sea level rise and extreme weather events everywhere. But the report does say that the worst of those scenarios is avoidable if we're going to reach global net zero emissions by 2050. So, and this is the big question, how do we get there? Take a developed economy like the UK. We would need to decarbonise electricity by moving to renewable sources. We'd have to phase out the use of petrol and diesel vehicles, reduce waste and landfill emissions, and move to lower carbon farming practices. Now, the cost of doing all that, achieving net zero, would be less than 1% of GDP every year to 2050. That's less over 30 years than the COVID pandemic has cost in just 2. Now, all of this data now heads to COP26, where the balancing act comes. Expect dissent from people who argue if we're going to have to cope with a degree of climate change anyway, aren't we safer to spend money on adaptation instead?